Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dan from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And today I am here to talk to you all about the April 23rd episode of Smackdown. That's right, guys. I am here to lay the SmackDan on Smackdown for this week. That's right. It's a Smackdown after the Smackdown after WrestleMania. Now, what do we get out of this show? So, Roman Reigns has issued a challenge next week to Daniel Bryan. Now, essentially, what's happening here is Daniel Bryan will face Roman Reigns next week for the Universal Championship, with the caveat that if Bryan loses that match, then he has to face. If Bryan loses, he has to leave SmackDown. We also now know that there will be a women's championship match at WrestleMania Backlash. That is right. It is confirmed that Bayley will take on Bianca Belair. So as you can see, scrolling along the bottom of your screen, we have the card so far. We have the card so far for WrestleMania Backlash, and that is Bayley and Bianca Belair, as well as Drew McIntyre defending. As well as Bobby Lashley defending against Drew McIntyre. Sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place this morning. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, just a little bit out of sorts at the moment, it seems. So so just to cover basically what I was just saying is WrestleMania Backlash matches have been announced. Universal Championship match for next week. There we go. So the Universal Championship match, as we said, it's going to be Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns next week. If Bryan loses, then he has to leave SmackDown. Now, this all came about due to Daniel Bryan returning to SmackDown this week, teaming with Cesaro to take on Jey Uso. It was really weird. So Bryan obviously teaming with Cesaro to take on Uso and Seth Rollins. So it started out obviously with Cesaro, and he was about to cut a promo on Rollins. Rollins came out, and then it was just really weird. It basically took up the first 40 minutes of this show, was just all to do with Seth Rollins, Cesaro, Jey Uso, Daniel Bryan, and ended up that Seth actually walked out on the match, leaving obviously Jey Uso in the ring. He got beat with a running knee from Daniel Bryan. And on the subject of Daniel Bryan, we've got in the chat here, leave SmackDown is interesting. I'm guessing that's one. Could be going to Raw. Possibly Raw or NXT. You know, Bryan seems like the kind of guy that would love to go down and work with some of those guys, actually. I just feel as though he would get lost a bit in the shuffle over on Raw, although it'd be like a huge name over there. It's it's one of those things. And going back to the this match, obviously, the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns match. I mean, I can't see this going to a clean finish. Actually, I can see possibly an Edge return. For causing some kind of distraction or interference. So I don't think it's going to go to a clean finish. It's nice to actually see Roman Reigns with his new T-shirt as well. The stack 'em, was it Smash 'em, Stack 'em, Pin 'em? So that was quite funny, actually. And talking of returns, Reginald is back. Yeah, that's right. He came back with his suit that looked like he got from Wish.com. Him and Seth Rollins must be shopping at the same place pretty much. He basically came out with Nia Jax for her match against Tamina. Now, this match, I'm not really one to really talk too much about the dodgy finishes. I don't like having to sit here and berate performers. But the ending of this match was absolutely terrible. It was obviously a roll up from Tamina to Nia Jax, and it just seemed as though it took an age for the referee to actually count the pinfall here. My only the only assumption I guess is that that Nia's shoulders weren't fully down, and that's why obviously they didn't count the fall. But then, you know, you think, who's that on? Is that on Nia or is that on Tamina? But yeah, so obviously Tamina holding a victory now over Nia Jax. Could that mean that we are getting Tamina and Tamina and Natalya again taking on the champions over at Backlash? It's morning tea, mate. Best thing to do. We keep talking about returns on this show. Aleister Black is back. He cut a creepy promo, really, talking about his childhood. Now, he was reading from a book called Tales of the Dark Father. So it had been widely speculated that Aleister Black was going to be returning with these promos that he'd been filming, and it was all to do something with about his childhood. And so obviously we got the first installment of that this week. He was talking about his dad and taking him to funerals when he was younger. And it said obviously this was chapter 1 of the story. So it'd be interesting to see how many chapters there actually are going to be within this story, and be interesting to see when he actually returns in ring as well. But it's actually quite interesting timing as well, because there were a few people that thought he would be one of the names that would be released in the releases from, I think it was last week or week before. It all just blurs eventually. But yeah, as I say, that was obviously Aleister Black, you know, essentially cutting his one of his return vignettes. So as we mentioned, obviously there was the backstage segment with Bayley talking trash about Bianca Belair, and then they made that match official, as we have already mentioned. So we've got another chat in here about that. Nice to see a new challenger for the SmackDown Women's title. Mad that Bayley was left off Mania after a record-breaking run. Indeed, it was. So, yes, I think it's an interesting story that they're playing with this one, actually, because obviously you've got the whole Bayley and Sasha Banks thing, because they were obviously feuding for quite a substantial amount of 2020 and into 2021. And then it obviously seemed like around Royal Rumble time, that wasn't the direction that they were going to go in with the Women's Championship, and obviously throw in Bianca Belair into the mix. I do think it was mad, obviously, Bayley being left off. I did think anything up to the last week of WrestleMania that they could well have made that match into a triple threat. But I think because they'd already done that with the Universal Championship, they didn't really want to be doing that again and have 2 triple threat matches kind of main event in WrestleMania. And it's then, why would you then squeeze Bayley, I guess, into that match? But yeah, it's just very, it's just a very interesting scenario, really, because obviously Bayley is such a great talent, and obviously the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion in history. I think the match with Bayley and Bianca is going to be a very, very good match. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what they're going to do. So obviously after WrestleMania Backlash, they've got Money in the Bank. So it's going to be quite interesting to see who wins that. You know, we could even see an early contender for that possibly could be Bayley, because then it opens up the options then of Bayley to take on possibly Rhea Ripley over on Raw. It could then obviously go to whoever's going to win this feud with Belair and Banks, pretty much. So yeah, we also now know that there is going to be an intercontinental. So sorry, we did know already that there was going to be an intercontinental championship match on this show, and it was announced during the show that Apollo was defending against Kevin Owens. Now, there was one man in particular that wasn't happy about this, and that man was Big E. So Big E obviously making his return, yet another return on SmackDown. Big E obviously made his return, essentially was saying that he wasn't happy with Kevin Owens. It was kind of the most heelish I've seen Big E in a long while. Basically said that it's his title and that Kevin Owens is a habitual line jumper. But, you know, I can see Big E's point. He's got a right to be aggrieved. He was screwed out of the championship at WrestleMania. And obviously during this match, Commander Aziz did play a part in the finish here as well. He caused a distraction, got up on the apron as Apollo rolled up Kevin Owens. After the match, Owens then hit a stunner on Apollo Crews, but then got nailed with the Nigerian nail. Sami Zayn was on commentary for this match as well. He got in the ring, started dancing to Apollo's theme song while Kevin Owens was down. Then Big E attacked Apollo backstage, left him just laying on the floor. See, now this is where it kind of blurs the lines of reality, because Big E is being like sort of carted away by the WWE officials. And then Commander Aziz comes out of a door next to where Apollo's just been attacked. You can clearly see Big E is still in his eye line, but he doesn't even acknowledge that he's there. It's just one of those little things, you know. They're so like hooked up on all the camera cuts and all this and that, but they don't realize these like obvious things. So yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that we've obviously not seen the last of this with Big E. With Big E challenging for the Intercontinental title. I think they could well be going down the route of a fatal four-way, potentially, with Big E getting chucked into the match along with Big E, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Apollo could well be the match, obviously, we see at Backlash. But yeah, I mean, it's just quickly going to throw over to the comments section. Let's see what we've got in here. So we have got, in response to the Apollo Crews thing, the Aleister Black thing, it's another example of fans having no idea how this company works. We all thought Black would be released. Now people are praising the promos. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to have seen if the releases didn't happen, whether this would still have actually aired or whether this whole stuff would have still come about. It's like, was this the plan all along? Or, you know, did they kind of have these releases and then they're like, oh, let's just quickly go and scramble some promo stuff for Aleister Black. So what else have we got here? Hate it when Babyface is acting entitled. It's the worst quality they can have. I get they have to be known to exist, but it's annoying when they interrupt everything. Exactly. It is. Yeah. It's obviously Big E has that gripe where, you know, he was screwed out of the championship. So you'd say that he has a fair point, but you know, it's obviously they WWE quite clearly did state before that they were doing away with automatic rematches, but you know, we all know that that's never really the case. Similar with Drew when he was feuding with Sheamus and all he cared about still was Lashley. Yeah, I think, you know, just a one-on-one feud versus a championship match. It's it's obviously gonna go down like that, but yeah, obviously, it would be interesting to know what you guys think of what's going to happen with the Intercontinental title. As you know, I'm predicting that there's going to be some kind of fatal four-way match for that championship. So, yeah, I think for me, that's everything this week. I just want to say, you know, a big thank you for joining me on this show. You know, obviously, I I've been all over the place today. So, you know, I'm going to have another sip of tea. I'm going to get on out of here. But, yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Don't forget to join me and check out what I have to say when I lay the SmackDown on Monday Night Raw on Tuesday. This is going to be Tuesday at 5 p.m. So don't forget, you can follow us all on Twitter at RM Pro Wrestling, and you can follow me at Dan_RebNoise. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check back for more wrestling content soon. Take care, guys. I will see you all soon.